Thank you, thank you. Stress is universal. Many forms of media, whether it be Marvel's multiverse, the lyrics of a song, or the themes of a novel, tap into ideas that try to resonate with everyone. Growing up, experiencing loss, and navigating relationships. These are all shared human experiences. When BGSU reached out to me to deliver this TED Talk, I also wanted to explore something just as universal, and that led me to stress. When you hear the word stress, you likely have one of two reactions. Either you roll your eyes and try to dismiss it, or the mere mention of it triggers a response deep within you. Regardless of how you react, stress is something every single person experiences. From infancy to old age, stress exists in different forms. A baby experiences stress when hungry and unable to communicate its needs. A child feels stress from the lack of control over their life. Teenagers are bombarded with change, hormones, and an influx of information. And as adults, well, we're stressed by our responsibilities, our parents, schoolwork, loans, jobs, taxes, car payments, and of course, relationships. Take a moment and be honest with yourself. How many of those stressors apply to you? Probably at least one. But before we dive further, let's take a step back and properly define stress. According to the World Health Organization, stress is a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. While this definition is widely accepted, I'd like to expand on it. Stress is a state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation or expectations. Now, why add expectations? Well, that's because research suggests that stress is often not just about the situation itself, but the expectations that surround it. Situations can be difficult, yes, but what truly amplifies stress is the pressure to meet certain expectations. Academic expectations and stress is a well-documented phenomenon. Students experience psychological strain when they perceive an inability to meet academic standards. Studies show that this type of stress impacts well-being and quality of life, and it's often only mitigated by self-compassion. Perfectionism, that is, setting impossibly high standards, is another major stressor. This leads to prolonged stress reactivity, increasing the risk of both anxiety and depression. The American Psychological Association notes that self-oriented perfectionists might function well under low-stress environments, but struggle significantly under high-pressure situations. Moreover, unrealistic expectations, whether self-imposed or externally dictated, fuel stress, burnout, and other mental challenges. This is especially evident in academic settings, where students push themselves to meet high expectations, often at the cost of their own well-being. So why did I add expectations to the definition of stress? Well, because expectations themselves are universal. Society imposes expectations on everything, from making friends and maintaining a social life, from being productive and a contributing member of society, to professionalism in the workplace, getting married, having children, earning and saving money, as well as gender norms and societal roles. You expect things from yourself. Your parents expect you to succeed. Your teachers expect punctuality and quality work. Your friends expect kindness and support. But here is the question I leave with you. Are expectations inherently negative? And more importantly, is the conquest of stress even possible? To begin, I want us to consider this quote. First, I must apologize for my lack of inclusivity in my wording. The written language often defaults to male or masculine terms. But secondly, this is a quote from myself as a freshman. I was in Dr. Simon Morgan Russell's class in BGSU, obviously. But as a freshman, I was always aware of the inherent truth in statements such as these. And I must admit that Dr. Simon Morgan Russell, when I wrote this, actually had a little bit of feedback on this line. It was brief but insightful. He said, "I sense this is a quotation. If so, you should cite it and also try to define it. Soft in what sense?" Now, standing here on this stage, I will seek to define it. Soft expectations, that is, expectations that are flexible, malleable, or overly forgiving, can diminish potential. They can limit greatness and ultimately hinder success. So why bring up this quote? Well, because I, like many of you in the audience, am a student here at Bowling Green. My name is Geizi, once again. I'm a senior earning my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with specializations in finance and marketing. The education I received at BGSU has shaped me, and this quote reminds me how much I've grown while still holding on to those fundamental truths. Universal truths remain universal, and the idea that expectations shape us has not only grown clearer with time, it is the very concept that led me to explore stress, not only as an obstacle, but as a tool. Now, when I say we should work with stress, I don't mean working with it this way you tolerate an annoying coworker or an unreliable group project member. I mean working with stress as if it was your closest friend or sibling, someone who pushes you, challenges you, and whether you like it or not, shapes your growth. But let's be honest, many people hate stress. It's exhausting, relentless, and sometimes just overwhelming. Yet, if you hate something, aren't you still emotionally invested in it? Indifference to stress is just as bad, if not worse. Those who dismiss stress entirely end up ignoring the very signals that could lead towards their self-improvement and success. Stress is not something to exile to the bench. It is a tool, an ally, and a necessary part of our journey. Stress has long been perceived as a burden, but upon closer examination, many of its so-called negative effects actually have hidden benefits. When stress arises in response to an important task or challenge, it reveals what truly matters to us. It highlights our priorities, showing us where our deepest values lie. That nervous energy before a big presentation, it means you care. That anxiety before a test, it means you want to succeed. Stress also sharpens our focus and heightens our alertness, activating that fight or flight response. This physiological reaction isn't just about survival, it's about peak performance. It helps us to think critically, react quickly, and innovate under pressure. Without stress, we wouldn't be nearly as pushed to solve problems, adapt, or grow. Even the physical symptoms of stress, the racing heart, the quickened breath, they serve a purpose. They prepare us for action, increasing oxygen flow not only to our muscles, but to our brain. These reactions are not a weakness. They are proof that our bodies are equipping us for success. Now, when we shift our perspective, stress transforms from an enemy to an ally. It signals what we care about, fuels our resilience, and helps us to develop problem-solving skills that will serve us for a lifetime. By understanding stress, we can leverage it, not just to survive, but to thrive. And that is the real conquest of stress, not eliminating it, but mastering it as a force for positive change. Now, the conquest of stress is something I am deeply passionate about. Like everyone else, I've had my share of encounters with stress. I'm nothing special in that regard. But I've always believed that if I could become comfortable with the uncomfortable, if I could learn to navigate stress rather than run from it, I'd be prepared for anything life threw my way. Over time, I've gotten so used to stress that now I find discomfort in its absence. The feeling of being calm, collected, and at ease, that unnerves me. And I realize that that makes me an outlier, but stress honestly excites me. But given that I was diagnosed with what my doctor called the worst case of ADHD they had ever seen, excitement is definitely something I thrive on. But let me be clear, while I found a way to work with stress, I'm also not indifferent to the destructive side. Stress, when left unchecked, has real, tangible consequences, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's often called the silent killer for a reason. It wears down the bodies in ways that we don't always notice until it's too late. Chronic stress has been linked to ulcers, heart disease, and even premature aging. It's not something we just feel. It's something that leaves marks, both seen and unseen. One of the most well-documented ways that stress and its impact on yourself is through its impact on digestion. When we experience stress, our bodies release a surge of hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These disrupt the delicate balance of your stomach acid and its digestive enzymes. This imbalance leads to unpleasant symptoms such as nausea, bloating, and acid reflux. Over time, chronic stress can contribute to the development of painful ulcers, which left untreated may worsen into more severe gastrointestinal issues. These digestive disturbances are not just uncomfortable, they can leave long-term consequences for overall gut health, making stress a significant factor in these digestive disorders. The negative effects of stress do not just stop at digestion. It also takes a serious toll on the heart. When stress hormones flood the body, they trigger an increase in heart rate, as well as blood pressure. While these physiological changes might be beneficial in the short term, those fight or flight situations, Prolonged stress places excessive strain on the cardiovascular system. Over time, this ongoing pressure can lead to hypertension, arterial damage, and heightened risk for heart disease, one of the leading causes of death worldwide. Studies have shown that chronic stress is directly linked to greater likelihood of heart attacks and strokes, particularly with individuals who do not have effective coping mechanisms. Ignoring stress for too long can push the body past its limit, resulting in life-threatening cardiac events. Beyond its internal effects, however, stress also accelerates visible signs of aging. Chronic tension and anxiety shorten telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes, and these naturally deteriorate over time. However, when stress speeds up this process, premature aging can manifest in noticeable ways, such as wrinkles, the gray hair you see before you, and a decline in overall skin health. The inflammation caused by prolonged stress weakens collagen and elastin, essential proteins that keep skin firm and youthful. As a result, those under chronic stress often experience dull skin, breakouts, and increased sensitivity, further emphasizing the toll stress takes on both internal and external well-being. But the effects of stress don't just manifest themselves physically. They reach deep into our mental and emotional health. Chronic stress exacerbates conditions like anxiety, depression, and burnout, creating a vicious cycle where mental strain fuels physical symptoms, which in turn worsen our emotional state. Left unaddressed, stress can lead to difficulty concentrating, mood swings, and even severe mental health disorders. This interconnected reality highlights why stress is not something we can afford to ignore. It is a pervasive force that impacts every aspect of our health and well-being. The good news? Stress isn't an insurmountable enemy. While it's an inevitable part of life, it doesn't have to erode our health. Learning to manage stress effectively can make a world of difference. Strategies like mindfulness, regular physical activity, and strong social connections can help counteract the harmful effects of stress and restore balance. Mindfulness techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, and progressive muscle relaxation have been proven to lower cortisol levels, promote a sense of calm, as well as regular physical activity also decreases cortisol levels while increasing endorphins, the brain's feel-good chemicals. This improves mood and relaxation. When paired with healthy nutrition, quality sleep, and strong social support, these further reinforce the body's resilience against stress. Ultimately, the key to managing stress is recognizing its impact and taking proactive steps to counteract it. By prioritizing self-care, setting healthy boundaries like learning to say no, and seeking professional support when needed, we can prevent stress from dictating our lives. It's not about eliminating stress entirely. It's about learning how to navigate it in a way that protects our health and well-being. Now, for some personal reflections. On a personal note, my Buddhist dean of the Honors College would hopefully appreciate this: meditation, or find something similar to it that works for you, whether it's contemplation, prayer, or just taking a moment to process your emotions. It's essential to slow down. In stressful moments, your instinct will be to act fast, but rashful decisions made under pressure can often lead to regret. A calm and quiet mind makes all the difference. Second, evaluate. My mother always asks this: will this matter in an hour, in a day, a week, a month, a year, a decade? And if I really can't shake the stress, will this be something that I really regret on my deathbed? If the answer is no, and most often it's not, then I prepare for it. I adjust my schedule, I allow for extra time, and I lean on my support systems. And I always practice self-care. Preparation always makes stress more manageable. Third, learn how and why to manage certain stressors. The why is usually very straightforward: to reduce our stress. But the how takes time to figure out. Some stressors, like family dynamics, are complicated, and deciding which ones to mitigate is a personal choice. The process of managing stress is ongoing, often taking weeks, months, or even years to master. For example, I know that I get very irritable when I'm hot. The moment I start sweating, my patience and rational thinking go out the window. So I've learned to adjust my environment. I lower the heat, I take breaks, and I find ways to physically cool down. Recognizing this trigger has helped me to avoid unnecessary frustration. The key is self-awareness, understanding what stresses you out and making small, intentional changes to prevent it from escalating. Now, do I have it all figured out? By no means. Do I have it more figured out than you? Probably not. But have I spent countless hours working on myself, analyzing my own stressors, and refining my responses? Absolutely. And while I may be further along in my own journey, that doesn't mean that you're behind. You're exactly where you need to be. The fact that you're here seeking ways to manage stress is already a huge step forward. So you are right where you need to be. I want to take this time to thank you all for your time, and it's been a privilege to share this moment with you. Thank you, TEDxBGSU, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk.